time you're hungry and looking for a great meal, head to Damon's Restaurant and enjoy a great deal. The number to call is easy, 588-WING, 588-9464, the real thing. Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings. Those chicken wings are a very popular thing.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup.
Most people understand the need for life insurance, but not many want to talk about why it's essential to your financial plan. It may seem intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Don't get overwhelmed. Get started with Country Financial. Call me, Sean O'Quinn, today at 588-1051 and let me work with you to find life insurance that gives you the protection you need at a price you can afford.
Life insurance policies issued by Country Life Insurance Company and Country Investors Life Assurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
The following is an exclusive presentation of Jessup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup. World famous Butch and Bob Show here for this Wednesday morning, 12th day of January. And Bob, Wednesdays with Werkheiser. State Representative Bill Werkheiser on the phone with us right now from under the dome up there in Atlanta. Go ahead, Bob.
Again, Wednesdays with Werkheiser. Bill, we got a chance to see you this past Friday at Eggs and Issues Breakfast, and that went well. Again, the Chamber, I think, and everybody in Wayne County wants to thank our representatives for making themselves accessible for that event, and they'll have the post-legislative luncheon as well. But as you mentioned, that day, Monday, was the opening day of the session. Most people just hit the gavel and then took off to Indianapolis or home to watch the game. But what all got underway on Tuesday? Anything take place yesterday?
No, we did not even gavel in because so many people were traveling. And then this morning, speaking of Eggs and Issues, I'm at the annual Georgia Chamber Eggs and Issues that's generally held at the World Congress Center, but with COVID, of course, everything gets messed up. And so we're at the Fox Theater. Y'all actually have a great delegation from Wayne County up here who I'm visiting with. That event is always generally the Tuesday after the first session. So that started at 7:30 this morning. I stepped out to speak to y'all. You got a great group from Wayne County here. And it's cold. It doesn't matter how hot it was the week before. I can guarantee you the first week of session, it's going to be in the 30s. It's done it every year for the last 8 years.
Well, let's go back to the Eggs and Issues then. As you mentioned, what's going to take place at the legislative session. As we mentioned, we've got a lot of educators here in Wayne County, teachers excited. Apparently the revenues are up in the state of Georgia, so Governor Kemp's hoping to implement that $2,000 of the $5,000 that he still has promised the teachers. So they're expecting to see that approved at the legislative session this year. Do you think that's going to happen?
I do. I think it will. And you know, there's policy and there's politics. And over 90%, and I believe our entire delegation included, is supporting Kemp. So I think it's going to be a good session for the legislature. I think it's going to be a good session for him. I think, you know, we've always worked well with him, and I think you'll see he's going to get most of what he wants. And the money is there now, but as Senator Tillery alluded to during Eggs and Issues, we got to be careful that is one-time money, so we can't load up stuff, you know, continual raises and stuff. But speaking of, we're also looking at doing all the state employees at least a one-time raise, and you're going to look at what we can do long-term.
Yeah, I read that. What's that proposal?
So,
how much we talking about?
So I've heard as high as $5,000. I've heard $2,000, and then depending on the higher the front end number is, the lower the chances a permanent, say, a 3% cost of living. So we've got to weigh that. If we go in with a lower amount, say 1,000, maybe we can do something for the next 5 years as far as a 3% cost of living, because they have not had that in quite a while. So those are the types of discussions we'll have here for the next few weeks. As I've said often, we work on the budget from the daylight starting tomorrow. We'll start subcommittees on the budget, and we will not pass it until the last couple of days of session. So that's some of those tough discussions that we'll have.
If you're just joining us, Bill Werkheiser on the phone, State Representative Wednesdays with Werkheiser. This is an election year. That question was asked at the exit issues. You got the governor's running for re-election. A lot of people up there in Atlanta running for re-election. You got the 3 people in the Republican primary, David Perdue and Vernon Jones. A lot of races contested. So the question is, with all these races gearing up and campaigns in full mode, what will much get done this legislative session? How do y'all concentrate on that without having to worry about who's pulling your strings for a vote here, vote there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you got to remember, because we're all, with the governor's on a 4-year cycle, but other than him, everybody else is on a 2-year. We have election years every other year. And the Speaker has said, just look at our past history. We're not going to get involved in people's grandstanding. And, we can't stop people from dropping bills, and we've already seen that already, especially on the Senate side, where folks are dropping bills to make a statement. Most of those bills will never see the light of day as far as coming out of committee. They can use that. They can go to the media and say, I tried to pass this. But I can tell you, it will not, just knowing the Speaker and Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, it will not, they are laser focused on, helping all Georgians, whether it be health care, mental health, public safety. It will not faze them, and yes, we'll get a lot done. That will not distract us from while we're here.
You mentioned COVID a while ago. This Omicron that's hanging its ugly head. It's spreading like wildfire across the state, across the nation. How do you see that playing out during the session? Do you think it'll affect the session like it did the previous year, or do you think it's under control, or your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, so even in my own family, my wife tested positive just a few days ago. I got tested yesterday. I was negative. I think the Omicron is a lot more contagious, and I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but it's a lot more contagious, but it's a lot more milder. It hasn't seemed to affect. Our hospital rates have shown that. Of course, there's always going to be exceptions, but we were all together at Christmas, and half my family tested positive the following week, but none of the kids got sick. And my wife, by the time she tested positive 2 days later, she's fine. So I think really it's the best possible case. It's going to get us to the herd immunity we've always been hoping for, but do it in a milder way so that we can get through this doggone thing. Because what's funny is remember when we first started this thing, the phrase was everybody put your mask on and let's get through this thing in 6 weeks. And here we are going into our 3rd year.
I'm curious, I ask all the time, what's going to be the controversial issues? Where's the big debate between the Democrats and Republicans on any issues? Do you know of any issues that are going to be debated heavily?
Yeah, they always have their list of priorities, and they're always for expanding Medicaid. The Republicans have always held fast on not doing that because we've looked at other states. We've seen the dangers of getting tied to federal money. So, and the governor did which if we'd had a different administration, we're pretty positive it would have not got blocked. But now that's blocked. The governor had a different proposal of covering those. We're up to 130% of the poverty line. So health care is always going to be debate. And, as you know, the governor's also talked about doing constitutional carry. I'm sure we'll do that. Anytime we debate guns, it's a very fierce, very emotional debate because of, shootings and Bob, unfortunately, and this is even different in the short 8 years I've been here, every bill is controversial. It is where we are now.
Let's go back to the constitutional carry. A lot of people hear that phrase, but they don't understand what they're talking about. So explain in detail what the governor's trying to get passed this year.
Right, and we got to be careful because there is no such thing as a constitutional carry. Look it up on Wikipedia, and there's a definition because there's not. It's 20 different states have it, and most of them are all different. Where the phrase comes from, it means if you're a citizen in good standing, and you don't have a felony or whatever, you should not have to get a permit to get a gun and to carry conceal. And interestingly enough, you can open carry. This really only affects conceal carry. And so it just means you don't go down to the courthouse, you don't pay a fee, and you don't have to carry a piece of paper to say that allows you to carry. It's trying to take us back 200 years where, if you own a gun, you can carry it.
Again, if you're just joining us, Bill Workheiser on the phone, Wednesdays with Workheiser. Again, we appreciate y'all coming on the show. I'm looking forward to talking to Blake on Tuesday, Stephen on Monday. Blake's, of course, as we mentioned at the Eggs and Issues, he's on the chairman of the Appropriations Committee in charge of that budget. So I know y'all are good friends. So he seems to be excited about the budget. Is there going to be much debate about the budget, or is the budget going to be a pretty smooth process this year?
There will always be debate. And again, I see a little bit more insight on the public safety. For example, we have some private prisons, and some of the Democrats seem to think that those are, and it's bad thinking, they think that they get paid more for the more people we lock up. That's not true at all. Our private prisons actually do house inmates at a cheaper level, and they get a little bit better, higher standard of care, meaning they get more access to education and some of the career choice training. So just items like that. You just say the word private prisons, people have different. So no, it's not going to be non-contentious. But the interesting thing about Senator Tillery's tenure as appropriations chair, he comes in, and all of a sudden, the House has passed a budget, and then COVID hits, and we're hit with a $2 billion deficit, so they have to throw the entire budget. And so then the Senate, for the first time in recent history or in history, because all House bills, all appropriations bills have to start in the House. And so for the first time in history, with him in his first year, the Senate is doing the budget. And then he comes back, and then 2 years later, and then we've got a $4 billion surplus. So he's waiting to have a normal year where it's not either slashed or surplus. So, and Jack Hill always said it's a lot easier when you're not flush with money because you just tell people no. So he's had a big line. You can imagine the line at his door giving him suggestions on how to spend some of that extra money. So I don't envy him right now. But he's a very smart guy, and he'll come out looking good.
Bill, someone just texted in. You were talking a little bit earlier about the that one-time money coming to teachers and possibly to state employees. Somebody wants to know, does that include state retirees or just current employees?
That would be current because the retirement system is a whole different. So we have 3 different retirement systems. We have TRS, which is teachers. We have SRS, which is state employees. Then we have the legislative, which is basically nothing. But the state employees, that would not be affected since they're okay, let me back up. They could be affected, but not in the same vein as when we talk about state employee raises. Now, they could get a cost of living, but that would be a totally separate bill and totally separate discussion.
Okay. All right. Well,
the state of Georgia is still celebrating the national championship. I'm sure the governor's going to have Kirby bring that championship trophy to the legislative hall one day. Any talk about that?
There is, and looking at, I'm not active on social media, but I have to keep up with my kids and grandkids, and I can't believe how many friends I had, and as you know, a lot of people from Jessup went up there. I'm just amazed at the number of people I knew that went up there, and saw some of them this morning back in Atlanta. So, yeah, we'll have Kirby probably have some of the football players, and what an exciting time. Half your listeners weren't even alive when the last time when Herschel Walker won it for us in 1980. But let's see, I was 20 years old. So such a good year. Bob, you appreciate this. I saw a meme the other day that said Georgia sports had a great year. The Braves win the World Series, UGA wins the championship, and the Atlanta Falcons finish in the top 4 in the NFC.
Still got to get their digs in on the Falcons. Well, the good thing is,
when I was growing up, there was a bumper sticker that said, if I used to live in Atlanta, go Braves and take the Falcons.
Yeah, I still have one of those. The good news is we got a chance to get you out there at 12:30 with the golf group. So how'd you enjoy the Pine Forest Country Club?
Great, and I plan to be back. Sorry y'all had to witness my lack of ability, but so I used to play years ago, pretty regular, and then I had 4 kids come along, and so that kind of put that on hold. And now they're starting to play, so I'm starting to pick it back up. So I plan on being back, and y'all seeing a new and improved me.
Well, thanks to the mayor and Crusher, we're on the winning team, so that was good news.
Well,
it was a good day.
That was socialism at its finest. I got to participate in the winnings, even though I didn't help the team much.
You benefit without having to put in, huh? Without having to do anything. All right.
Well, again, we appreciate you being here on Wednesdays. If you see those Wayne County people up there for the breakfast, tell them we said hello, and safe travels back to Jessup. And like I said, if you see Stephen and Blake, remind them we got Stephen on Mondays with Meeks, and Blake on Tuesdays with Tillery. So look forward to that, because our listeners just enjoy hearing what's taking place up there in Atlanta during the legislative session. And before I let you go,
it wouldn't happen without y'all. Yeah.
Before I let you go, like I said, there's a lot of people listening. They want to know how to get in touch with you in Atlanta. So what's the best way to get in touch with you in Atlanta during the session?
Yeah, the easiest is email. You don't even have to write down, because you can Google my name. It's bill@werkheiser.com. And my cell phone is 912-237-0145. It's always best to text me first, because if you're not in my contact, it will go to a voicemail. But I love hearing from people. Got to answer a bunch of texts yesterday, so love hearing from folks.
Okay, Bill. Again, thanks for being here on Wednesdays, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you all.
Right, thank you, Bill. WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup, Big Dog Country Radio, world famous Butch and Bob Show here for this Wednesday morning, the 12th day of January. So a bunch of Wayne County folks up there right now at the Georgia Chambers Eggs and Issues breakfast. And Bill's right there. He just stepped out of the room there to talk to us. Now he'll go back in and visit.
At the Fox Theater. That's a nice building.
That is a nice building, the Fox Theater.
Place, yeah.
Yes, sir. Very nice. Well, Bob, any comments today? Anything that you got yesterday from folks who texted or called, or any insights or anything from the national championship game you'd like to share today?
Just a lot of excitement. Like I said, talked to a lot of people I went to school with. Like I said, that was my senior year when Herschel went and took us to the national championship against Notre Dame. A lot of people that were at my house in New Orleans for that celebration were texting me and calling me. So just good to hear from former classmates.
Well, speaking of Herschel, Vince Dooley was down there on the field and hugged Kirby. Was Herschel there?
I didn't see Herschel. I didn't.
You would think that he would be there, unless he wasn't just trying to take away from the players. But there, I'm sure he might have done that.
I'm sure if he was there, they would have showed him. But I saw a lot of
And he probably didn't want to take away from them.
Nick Chubb was there.
Aaron
Murray. There's a bunch of former Georgia players up there, but I didn't see any mention of Herschel.
Yeah, you think
there.
Herschel would have been there, but stayed in the background and enjoyed the game and so forth, and unless he had other commitments of some sort.
I'm sure if he was there, he would have been on one of those networks.
Yeah, someone would have got his picture on there somewhere on video up in the skybox somewhere. But a great game. Folks are just excited about it. The whole Georgia nation, the whole Dog Nation is just fired up, and everybody's just talking to each other. It's that sense of nation, of dog community, of people coming together and celebrating the national championship for Georgia for 2021. Just great.
Great win.
Just a great win. And speaking of football, every single year we are your NFL playoff radio station for Southeast Georgia, and including all the NFL games, the wild card games coming up this weekend, the divisional playoffs, the AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game, and the Super Bowl on Sunday, February 13th. We'll have all those games for you. Most every single one of them right here on 105.5 FM. And if it's not here, it'll be on our sister station, Fox Sports Radio, 1370 AM The Buzz, WLOP. But most of those games will be right here on 105.5 FM, beginning this weekend with the wild card playoff games, beginning this Saturday at 4 p.m. And then following that game will be the second game. I'm not sure which one's first. And then at 7:45 for two games beginning at 4 o'clock this Saturday. And then we've got... 3 games on Sunday beginning at 12:30, and then they're actually going to have a wild card playoff game on Monday night, Bob. Is that something new? I don't remember a wild card playoff game, but on Monday night. That's going to be on the 17th. Of course, that game can be heard right here on 105.5 FM.
It's something new because they've added a 7 team in each conference, so they added an extra playoff team this year. So 7 teams in each conference got in the playoffs. So it all starts this Saturday. The doubleheader Saturday is as follows. They've got the first game is the Raiders at Cincinnati at 4:30, and Saturday night it's New England and Buffalo. And those are the 2 games Saturday at 4:30. Saturday at 8:15, New England and Buffalo. Then Sunday at 1 o'clock is Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. 4:30, the Cowboys and the Niners. And Sunday night, my Steelers take on Kansas City. Big upset there. Those Steelers.
I think Big Ben's going home.
Then Monday night is Arizona and the Rams. Matthew Stafford with his new team taking on Arizona. So that'll be a fun game Monday night. But
a lot of good games.
Good playoff games.
Yep, a lot of good games. You get in the playoffs, you get the cream of the crop there. And like I said, we'll begin this Saturday, beginning at 4 o'clock, with all the playoff games for you. 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, beginning at 12:30, and then the Monday night game. And then the following weekend, and then the AFC and NFC Championship game, which will be on Sunday, January 30th, and then 2 weeks later, Super Bowl there in L.A., beginning, they hadn't set a definite time on our broadcast yet, but that'll be that night there on February 13th, that Sunday.
You don't think my Steelers are going to beat Kansas City?
Bob, I didn't think they was going to win this weekend, so I could be wrong. It's interesting hearing those folks on Fox Sports Radio talk about Big Ben.
They buried him.
They're talking about
1-3.
Talking about they were talking about when the Colts lost to Jacksonville and they saw that the game didn't tie there in the Raiders and the Chargers didn't tie, and so the Steelers got in. You saw a bunch of Steelers players jump up and cheer. They said they had to help Big Ben get up and jump. They said they had to get his corpse off the couch and help him get up and jump. He gets crushed sometimes about his aging body, Bob. But he wins.
When the game was on the line on Sunday, he drove him right down the field for the go-ahead touchdown.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He's done it many times.
Yeah, he did. So, all the NFL playoff games can be heard right here on 105.5 FM. Most every single one. If you don't hear it on 105.5 FM, just tune over to WLOP 1370 at the AM The Buzz, Fox Sports Radio, 1370 on your AM dial. But most every single one will be right here on 105.5 FM. The only reason why we wouldn't is if we have a no, we're not going to have a Wayne County baseball game that's going to interfere because all these are on Saturday and Sunday, so it's not going to interfere with it. So all the games will be right here on 105.5 FM. All the NFL playoff games, including the Super Bowl. So we look forward to bringing those games to you once again right here on your sports leader for Southeast Georgia, 105.5 FM, Big Dog Country, WIFO. Well, somebody just texted in. It says, let's hope we can get all the powers to be and get the swim team and the community a new pool facility. So somebody there really wants to see the powers to be, which would be the school board, the county, and the city of Jessup, get together and try to figure out how a pool can be built here in Wayne County, so our swim teams, the schools, recreation can have a facility to be able to compete in, to practice in. Because can you imagine having football games and not have a football, not having a football field or a baseball? We went several years without a track, so we're going to have one now for Wayne County High School. But a lot of folks say, hey, all these sports have courts and they have fields and parks and everything else. Well, the swim teams deserve a pool. So I know that the powers to be are trying to work on it, right, Bob?
The first step, they have to have a meeting. They haven't had a meet.
They haven't had no meeting yet. We've talked about meetings for.
Bill Harvey's talked about that for several months. But
what does it take to get a meeting together between the three entities?
At the last city meeting, they said they'd put on the agenda for this coming month, which will be next month. And then the school board mentioned again last night, they've been in contact with Mr. Harvey, but no meetings have been set up. So they want a joint meeting between the city, county, and the school board.
Right, you get
because
each entity, each board.
The first decision they've got to make is what are they going to do with the pool at Cracker Williams, because they got that grant, which is a $100,000 grant. It's a matching grant, and they've already learned from their DDA director that grant only applies to Cracker Williams.
Right.
Okay. If they decide to move a pool somewhere else, that grant does not apply.
Well, if that pool is going to cost $800,000 to $1 million, let's go ahead and say $1 million, because you know how construction prices are these days. 10%, $100,000 is not going to help get the other $900,000. So the way I'm looking at it, Bob, and that's just my thoughts and feelings, is if the city, if they want a pool there, they'd have to go alone, and they're not going to be able to come up with that other $800,000 to $900,000. So if they want the other two entities involved, with the school board and the county, looks like it's going to have to be somewhere else. We'll just miss out on $100,000.
But I don't know why they had to go alone. Nick Ellis talked about it last night. That pool, for years, when it was there, served a lot of purposes. They had swim meets there.
They did.
That swim team used that. So
yes.
So that's the first step, to get that pool completed,
right,
and have it where people can use it, senior aerobics, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And then the three entities need to get together and decide what the future of a pool somewhere like it at the Ben Park Complex or Bill Morris Park would be. But as we mentioned, it's one thing to build the pool.
But then you got to
maintain it. The question is who's maintaining it and where that money comes from year after year after year.
Well,
after
it's according to where it is. If it's in the city, I guess the city be in charge of it. If it's out of Bill Morris Park, the county be involved. And
the bottom line, if you're going to get a pool built, like I said, it's going to have to be like a SPLOST project or something like that. I mean, it's going to have to be a special. The money's just not there. Between the three entities.
It's always about the money. It's always about the money. Yeah, everybody would love to have a pool. Everybody would love to have somewhere, whether it's at Cracker Williams or out at Bill Morris Park or whatever the case may be. But you got to come up with that $1 million.
Well, talking about meetings is one thing. Having meetings is a different thing.
Yeah, so right.
They've been talking about meeting with the county and the school board for eons, but no one's set up a meeting yet. So that's the first step. Set up a meeting. But they mentioned last night at the school board what they'd like to have is they'd like to have a joint meeting of the full boards at the county school
boards. Okay.
The full boards, everybody on hand. They get everybody's opinion on what they want to see as the vision of the pool.
Right.
So
So
you'd have it somewhere like the high school auditorium where people could come and listen and hear what everybody's thought process is.
Okay. Well, we need a pool.
But all that at the all that work at the Cracker Williams, it's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there.
So the city's got to decide. Fish or cut bait? Are they going to finish that project?
I don't see where they're going to come up with another $800,000, Bob.
Well, the city and the county might want to help out because, like I said, if
they
you get that,
they won't build it anywhere else. Then
why?
Why build it? Why spend $1 million in a pool at Cracker Williams, then spend another $1 million on building one somewhere else?
I think the big pool is going to be more than $1 million. If the little pool at Cracker Williams is going to be $1 million project, Olympic-sized pool was going to cost more than $1 million.
Yeah. So, well, that's something that the boards will have to make a decision on. But like you said, they got to stop talking the talk. They got to walk the walk and get together and start working on it as soon as they can. Because everybody seems to, we'd like to have one. We'd like for the swim teams here in Wayne County at the schools have a facility. We'd like for the recreation department to have a facility for the piranhas instead of having to use pools in people's backyards around Wayne County. But you got to get together, you got to make the decisions, then you got to come up with a plan on how to get the money.
Well, it was weird because the city started that project at the pool back in a year ago.
Yeah, well, more than a year ago.
And they did all that work. They got all the dirt out. They did all the stuff. They did it, and all of a sudden they just stopped.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
And they applied for
Was
that
it COVID?
grant.
Did that put the?
I don't know. I just know it's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there, Bob.
And the neighbors around that area aren't real happy because they brought that up at the city meeting. They're getting calls like, "Look, when's that going to quit being an eyesore? When are you going to do
you're
something
talking about the dirt and everything piled up around
just,
and everything?
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. Well, the powers that be just need to get together and make decisions. You got to get together. You got to talk. You got to come up with a plan. You got to implement the plan of action and get it going.
How long you lived in Wayne County?
Well, things have been done, Bob. Not everything's on hold. Yeah, you talk to the school board, you talk to the city council, you talk to the county board, and they all said, "Yeah, we need to get this done. We need to start towing it." Just getting together. I mean, just have the mayor, have the county administrator, and then have the school board, the school superintendent say, "All right, let's get together and come up with a meeting date for all the boards."
Just another chapter in that book. What a mess! What a mess!
You're in your book. Bob's working on a book called "What a Mess! What a Mess."
I mean, like I said, how long you going to talk about meetings before you set one up?
Well, maybe if we're lucky, somebody in Wayne County will win a $500 million lottery and donate some of it to them.
That'd be good. Somebody wins that Powerball, make it just.
Yeah, I'll donate a couple mil to that Olympic pool. Just put my name up there.
It's something that's wanted, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's wanted, it's needed. It's just a matter of getting it done.
There's a lot of things wanted.
Yeah, it's always about the money.
I mean, everybody has their wish list.
It sure do. All right, Bob, anything else?
I'm just upset you don't think my Steelers got a chance. I'm
just kidding with you, Bob. Every team in that playoff have a chance.
I love Big Ben.
Yep. I'd rather see the Steelers win than Kansas City any day of the week. All right, take care. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by First Southern Bank, by Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, Murphy Builder Supply, and by O'Quinn & Associates Country Financial.